funding so Local Channel can continue to provide me with a diversity of information that strengthens our community.
Log on to learn more about what your local cable channel does for your community.
It's the Savage Economic Development Commission meeting for Wednesday, February 19th, 2025. Regina, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, Commissioner Corrigan.
Here.
Commissioner Zastro.
Here.
Commissioner Huss.
Here.
Commissioner Erickson.
Here.
Commissioner Sims.
Here.
Commissioner Solomon.
Here.
Commissioner Rasmussen. And Commissioner McIntosh.
Are both absent today, correct?
For the record, Commissioner Solomon, you'll be a voting member today, once you're sworn in.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jay Lee and Carrie, past members of the commission, moved on to other things and were not with us, so they did not reapply. Fred and I, our terms were up and we were reappointed. And we would like to welcome Angie Huss and Faisal Suleiman to the board. We welcome you. Glad you're here, and welcome to the team. We now have the oath of office for reappointed and new members, and I think Regina is going to lead us in that. And we'll all, just those of us who need to do it, we'll just stand where we are.
Yes, those that have been appointed or reappointed, please stand and hold up your right hand.
Is that me too?
That's
That would be you, too.
Yes.
And you should have your,
Have an oath of office.
I've got one of these.
So I'll hold up your right hand. I will read the statement, basically line by line, and repeat after me. So we'll begin. I state your name.
I, Alan Erickson,
Suleiman.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
The
Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the Economic Development Commission
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the Economic Development Commission
of the City of
of the City of Savage, County of Scott, State of Minnesota,
County of Scott, State of Minnesota,
to which I have been appointed to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to which I have been appointed to the best of my knowledge and ability.
Congratulations, all officially EDC Commission members. I will need these signed, and we will have them notarized as well.
Yeah, the job's not finished till the paperwork's done, so please sign it. So,
That's an old one.
that is a really old one, isn't it? Okay. On to the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, any modifications?
None from staff.
None from staff? Anything from the table? Hearing none, do we have consensus that the agenda moves forward as stated?
Yes, so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda's been approved. We move on to the next item, which is the election of officers. And the very first one would be for the chair.
Mr. Chair, I would, I had expressed interest in the chair position, not knowing if you were wanting to re-up or not, but seeing as how you have and you've done a fine job as chair, I would like to withdraw my name for consideration.
Very well.
Chair, I would move Al Erickson as the chair of the commission.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anyone else who'd wish to place their name in nomination? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I'll try to live up to your high expectations. Thank you. Next, the election will be for the vice chair. Two people, actually three. Katie isn't here. She according to the note that Regina put in, she'd be interested if no one else was. Is that what
That's correct.
sent on to you? Okay. Both Fred and Mark have expressed an interest.
Yeah, again, I did. Also, I will defer to Fred, Commissioner Fred Corrigan, to serve as vice chair.
Okay. Is there a motion to place Fred's name into
So moved.
consideration?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Is there anyone else who'd like to place their name in contention for the position of vice chair? Hearing none, I'll close the nominations. All in favor of Fred Corrigan as vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Fred.
Thank you. Thank you all.
There you go.
Thank you.
The next item, approval of the January 15th, 2025 meeting minutes. It is in your packet. Please take a look at that. Does anyone have any items to bring up to the table regarding the minutes?
As my wife says,
I just have a minor edit with Brian's last name that will get corrected. Just a typo.
Any other items? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes have been approved from the last meeting. Boy, we're just clipping right along.
Good job.
Just run this thing like a military precision here.
you going to the chamber, are you going to be here tomorrow morning?
Probably.
Okay, the general business, item 6. First one is review or receive an overview of the Economic Development Commission purpose, responsibilities, and duties. We haven't done that for a couple of years, so it's probably a good idea to just remind ourselves why we're here and what we're doing. So, Regina, would you
Have you had a chance to meet?
lead us through this?
the mayor?
Yes, Chair, members of the commission. This is just a refresher for not only our existing commission members that have been appointed for some time, but then also for our new commission members. Within the city code, there's an overview of our various commissions that we have within the city. Our Parks Commission, Planning Commission, our Community Equity Commission, and the Economic Development Commission. And through that chapter of our city code, it goes over the roles and responsibilities. Over time, those can change. Those would be city code amendments at the at the discretion of our city council. So today, as the city code stands, the city code talks about just goals and of the Economic Development Commission. And these are kind of high-level goals. And what we have tried to do, at least since I've been the staff liaison of the commission, is try to gear your action items or your work plan and try to fit them into these goals, responsibilities, and duties. So the goals that are stated in the code are related to recruitment of new businesses and industry, retention and expansion of existing businesses and industry, diversification of the community's economy, jobs, increase in tax base, and planning and coordination of the community's economic development resources and efforts. Some of the things that we have done, again, the work plan, but then also bringing awareness to programs like the Scott County Community Development Agency. We've brought awareness to the Next Stage program that they offer and the CEO Next project, the Fast Track Challenge that they put on. Those are some of the things that we've done as it relates to recruitment of new businesses and expansion of business and industry. The other things related to increase in tax base, some things that the commission has been involved with in the past is Prior Lake Aggregate and their Big Sky project, tax increment financing related to that. There have been other tax increment financing projects as well that the Economic Development Commission kind of has that first look and provides a recommendation to City Council before the City Council ultimately takes action and decides if they're going to provide business assistance or any type of assistance to a project. So you're a recommending body for projects like that. You've also, the commission in the past has also been engaged in plan development. So one of the most recent examples is the downtown redevelopment vision. The Economic Development Commission was engaged with that process, whether it was in a joint meeting with the other commissions or directly with the commission for feedback. And in the end of 2025, beginning of 2026, the Economic Development Commission will begin to be engaged in our 2050 Comprehensive Plan update. And later this year, you'll also be engaged in our Economic Development Strategic Plan. So some of these ideas that are listed on the slide are kind of like big picture, these big buckets. And what we've tried to do is bring you work that is related to these items so that you can help us further our goals. And some of these things are things that are city initiatives and other items. We lean on our project partners to help us further some of these goals. Again, like the Scott County Community Development Agency are great examples. Again, the code talks further about how the Economic Development Commission provides recommendations on things like tax increment financing, on grants, revolving loans, special projects, and other assistance or initiatives as directed by the City Council or the Economic Development Authority, which is also the City Council. They just wear different hats. There may be times when we come to you with a tax increment financing request, whether it's for a project specific or an area specific. There may be a grant where we need support, and so it may be through the Department of Employment and Economic Development or the Metropolitan Council. So we would come to you for a recommendation before we bring it to council or the Economic Development Authority. The commission in the past has been engaged in business assistance, like there were COVID business grants, a couple of probably, I'm losing track in time with COVID, but 5 years ago, the Economic Development Commission was engaged with that process and what that looked like for our businesses. And then when the time comes, or if the time comes, we'll be back in front of you with other programs. In the downtown redevelopment vision, we talk about potentially a business facade remodeling program. What does that look like? We would come to the commission for feedback on a program. What does that look like? What do those parameters look like? Do you agree with what staff's proposing before we would take that on to council for hopefully adoption? But those are some of the special projects. Another special project, an example would be the short-term rental discussion. Last year, the Economic Development Commission was engaged and provided feedback for development of a proposed short-term rental ordinance. That has not been adopted yet by council, but some of that feedback that you provided was an example of a special project that we wanted to engage the commission on. That's all. Again, I just want to give an overview just generally of your responsibilities. We do lean on you as staff for, again, recommendations to City Council. We want to get your lens from kind of that business lens, development community lens, and of course you all have expertise and knowledge, and you are out in the community, you're talking with people, you're talking with residents and other businesses, so we want to hear from you, and that's why you're appointed to the commission, because you're a valuable resource, and I just want you to know that council does watch these meetings. They do read the minutes, so the things that you say and the recommendations that you bring, they're valued and they're listened to. So that's all.
Good,
Certainly
thank
stand
you.
for any questions.
Yeah, I would make a quick comment that if you read through the ordinance that established the commission, the word advisory is used an awful lot. So just everyone at this table, I know, and I'm sure the two new members who have joined us too, have a bit of a bias for action and want to jump out and run out and do a lot of things. So, but we are here to advise. We don't direct the work of the staff. Council sends things to us. And the next item we're going to talk about in a few minutes is our work plan. And basically, in the discussion I had with the city council members during the reappointment process, I said that our work plan, which we used last year to great effect, basically educates us in the meantime when we don't have something that's been sent to us specifically to work on. So we have a lot of time to be able to educate ourselves and be able to give thoughtful answers to the council when they do send stuff or when staff comes and requests our help. So while you might not be out charging over the hill all the time with the Army, rest assured you got a lot of say about what's going on. So that'd be my comment. So
Thank you for that reminder. I know last year we got caught up a little bit in thinking we were going to direct activity as opposed to just advising to the council.
any other comments for Regina? Questions?
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You going to stay up there for the next one?
I will.
Okay, very good. Next item is review of the 2025 action plan.
Does anyone need a paper copy at all? I've got just a couple of copies of the proposed 2025 action items. Good. Okay. So I believe I brought this, the 2024 accomplishments in, I believe it was at the November or December meeting of 2024, just to highlight what the type of work that had been completed to date. There are a couple other items that were added to this 2024 accomplishments, but just a list of what was done. Again, we came to you with the short-term rental ordinance. We had an invite from the Scott County Community Development Agency to talk about their programs. The chair participated on the police chief interview panel. We went over an overview of economic development tools that are available to the city, tools that we're using today and tools that maybe we could use sometime in the future with council support or the Economic Development Authority support and action. Talked a lot about the downtown redevelopment vision, zoning code update. One of the fun things that was done was a downtown and redevelopment city bus tour. You also provided input on a couple of items related to land sales. So not only the former right-of-way to the west of the library, but then also gave feedback and advised on MnDOT-owned land that's close to the cusp or on the cusp of our downtown area south of Highway 13. And you received a presentation on Highway 13 improvements, just a MnDOT overview of the plan changes that they have, not only in Savage, but also in Burnsville. So there's a lot on that list. In 2025, I put together a list based off of things that either weren't accomplished or items that I heard you talk about or items that I know are on the horizon. Looks like Commissioner Zaster has a question.
Well, it's not a question, it's more of a comment. I think something that you might want to consider adding to this list that I think, to me, what is important is that either you as the director or we as a commission re-engaged or improved our affiliation with the Savage Chamber of Commerce. I would like to see that included as an accomplishment for 2024, because personally I think that's important, and the fact that we're more active now as a city and or as a commission or as a city council or whatever it is, whomever it is, I think that's important.
Absolutely, and apologies for not including that. You've received updates. You've been at grand openings, at ribbon cuttings, and absolutely, that will get added. I appreciate that. Thank you for catching that.
Sure.
That's a big one.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep.
So for 2025, and apologies, this is kind of small on your screens there, but hopefully you have an electronic version or the paper copy. In 2025, you've already received an overview of the community survey results from our communications director and a presentation of the downtown redevelopment vision. Those are available on our city website for our new commission members. If you have not engaged in either of those, I'd encourage you to really read through and review those documents and those results. A lot of the work that the commission will be doing and even the council and other commissions going forward will rely on these results and these documents.
For the two new members, is there a tape of the January meeting?
There is.
Because those
yes.
presentations were on there, and I think that you might want to sit, half an hour, you can sit and watch the discussion, and Emily made a great presentation, and it worked out really well. Might fill in a lot of gaps for you.
Yeah, those are all available on our city website, and I can send a link, direct link after the meeting as well.
Will
Yes.
we see a copy of I assume the community survey is done every year, or is it not?
Yes.
Will we see a copy of that before it goes out to the city?
The community survey, the questions, for example, that would not be something that directly would go in front of the Economic Development Commission. There may be a question or two that I can talk with our communications director to see if what influence we could have, but that typically wouldn't be an item that we would bring forward to the Economic Development Commission for advisement.
I guess my concern, not concern, my hope was that I was surprised to see how high economic development rose on the list of the residents' minds, and I guess I would like to see that followed up and see if we, in the eyes of the residents at least, we've made some progress and maybe moved down the list from number 1 to 2 or 3.
Don't want to be number one all the time.
It was nice once, but maybe we need to move on.
I'll make that note and share that information with our communications
Thank you.
director. Some of the things that were worked on in 2024 and will continue to bring forward to you in 2025 is related to the zoning code update. We are working through that process still. We will eventually have draft language to bring before you, and this is specific to our permitted uses, commercial and industrial chapters, and signs. Those are the things that are most related to the work that the Economic Development Commission does. Certainly, as individuals, you can comment on other areas of the city code, but these are the ones that we want to hyper focus on for the Economic Development Commission. You saw a preview. We did have some engagement in 2024, but we want to make sure that we have those refined city code changes before you. Ultimately, the Planning Commission is the body. That's the full recommending body for the full zoning code. And then the council will adopt once they've feel it's in a comfortable spot. For the March meeting, I will be before you with a recommendation on the land sale for the former right-of-way west of the library. We did receive a proposal, so we'll be before you with recommendations on that before it moves forward to City Council. We'll also, kind of as an overview or recap, I'll talk about our economic development policies that we have in place and start that conversation about maybe what needs to be added or changed to our existing policies. And we're not going to, in my mind, we're not going to wrap up the review of economic development policies and have it tidied up at the March meeting, but it will play into our conversations as we talk about an economic development strategic plan. So we want to make sure that you have an understanding of what's out there now and what do we need to improve upon and what do we need to focus for going forward in the next 5 years, for example. We'll talk a lot about downtown redevelopment vision and implementation, some of the kind of the way the downtown redevelopment vision talks about goals and implementation. It breaks it up into short, mid, and long-range goals. So some of those short-term goals we'll be bringing before you, whether it's engagement with Highway 13, economic development tools like financing tools. Maybe it's a grant that comes forward related to demolition of a building and city assistance or assistance from a outside agency and what that looks like and asking for a recommendation on that. And maybe it's programmed events, maybe, maybe we ask you to volunteer or at a potential future event to help spark and re-engage people to help draw them downtown. I don't know what that looks like, but certainly leverage our commission to help make some of these things happen. There is some desire to be engaged about the legislative priorities of the council and to just keep track of what's related to the Economic Development Commission. So I'd like to bring forward the council's initiatives and see and just have you continue to monitor what's going on at the legislature as it relates to the work that you do. I'd like to invite the Savage Chamber. They're willing. I just have to make sure that we fit it in with your meeting schedules. But are there opportunities where we can work together and partner? They'd love to partner. I know the city would love to partner with them on events like maybe it's Small Business Week or Manufacturing Month, I believe. I think I put week in here, but month. Or the bus tour that we did. Can we not only have commission members and council, but maybe it's also chamber members are engaged in that bus tour, and what does that look like? So partnership opportunities. We've talked about touring the Scott County Community Development Agency Entrepreneurship Center. I'd love to see it. I haven't been there, but I think that would be a nice, fun field trip to get out there. Great for the commission to be informed so that you can help inform others. You're kind of our spokespeople for the city to help get the word out about these great programs that we have available to businesses and residents within the city of Savage and the county. Another thing that I have on here is perhaps a joint meeting with the Community Equity Commission to talk about the goal that's in the READY plan to help support BIPOC businesses. So maybe that's in June or July. Maybe we cancel one of your regular meetings and pick a different date so that we can meet together. Maybe it's in the early evening, let you sleep in for a day, one of those months, and talk about how the commissions can work together. Is that maybe joining staff on a meet and greet for businesses, and maybe we kind of rotate, whoever is available can come join staff, or we can have Next Stage come to us again and talk about successes that they've had with businesses. I know the CEC has not had a presentation on that, but maybe we bring them in and invite them in to hear about what's going on in the greater community. Again, we love having you at ribbon cuttings, grand openings. So whenever we receive those invites or hear about ribbon cuttings and grand openings going on in the city, I will extend that invitation. Again, talked about it, hosting a city bus tour that could be in coordination with the Savage Chamber. Maybe it's in coordination with one of our other commissions, and we look at I'm just kind of spitballing, but maybe we look at the new park, and maybe it's the expansion of pickleball fields, if people aren't familiar with that, and different community assets, not necessarily development focused, but community focused. And then, of course, other items as requested by City Council. We don't know when those will come up all the time. Sometimes it's on a work plan, and sometimes it's just something that arises and gets passed on. So we will bring those to you as needed. And that's what I have for 2025 goals and action items. Certainly open to feedback. If you want to add anything, strike anything, want me to refine anything, I'm more than happy to.
Questions or comments? Mark?
I have a comment regarding the work of the BIPOC committee, or the Community Equity Commission, I'm sorry. Is there interest in, or should there be interest, asking this rhetorically, should there be interest in adding veterans into this conversation? I'm sure, I would bet at the county level there's a Veterans Affairs officer or person that looks out for that group from a countywide basis. Would that be something that we should be also looking out for and helping to promote that important part of our community from an economic development standpoint? Just a comment.
Yeah.
Good question.
Mr. Chair, so I was at a meeting the other day that the city of Prior Lake, the mayor, presented their plans for the next more than year. Some of them are long-term plans. It'd be interesting to see what especially Prior Lake maybe is doing and Shakopee is doing, so that we can either be in sync or recognize that that need has been met. He has some pretty aggressive ideas about their park system, and if they're going to spend a ton of money on parks, maybe we don't need to be doing that right away. But it would be interesting to see what the economic development goals for those two cities are. And I'll try and bring you the EDA. I'm sorry, I've got the CDA goals as they're developed for this year as well, as a commissioner, or what am I there? I am a commissioner there, I guess. So, but that would be interesting to know. And maybe Shakopee hasn't changed their plan much, but it would be interesting to us to see what kind of development they're pursuing. And there are some common industries across the county, hospitality probably being the biggest, that maybe we can ride that train a little bit harder than we have. We've talked about hotels, especially in the context of the hotel downtown, but there may be opportunities in this community by if those cities are short on those things. But and again, sometimes it's a matter of maybe we've already got enough hotels, but it'd be interesting to know what's going on around us. Burnsville, I think you can bring us some of those things, but I think it's especially important that we know what's going on around the county.
Jill?
I'd just like to second what Commissioner Corrigan said, especially as we see some larger developments in Shakopee that will probably bring some more tourists to the area. I'm thinking of the amphitheater. We just may want to have a discussion on how we can help support economic development as more people are being exposed to the South Metro.
Historically, Regina, can you tell us what the council's interaction with the other councils surrounding us has been, and kind of tagging on to Fred and Jill's comments?
Yeah, so the mayors in Burnsville and Savage traditionally have had a meeting. I believe they meet every other month together. Mostly, I think that had started related to the shared water services that we have. However, they have other topics that they talk about. So they meet regularly, and of course, Burnsville's in Dakota County. But then within Scott County, our council is really engaged with SCALE, where there's the different Scott County cities and townships come together and to discuss various topics, anywhere from public safety to housing to recycling services. And they meet, there's an executive committee, there's a technical committee. I'm part of a technical committee. I just started chairing that. So it's an opportunity for, depending on what level of a committee, either it's at a staff level or at a policymaker level. So there is interaction, there is engagement at those different committees. And, you know, perhaps I can bring something forward, an update, or have somebody from SCALE come in and give an update, just kind of talk holistically, countywide, about what's going on.
Would it be appropriate then to add an item onto here to, say, monitor economic development activities in neighboring communities? And then it'd be kind of a, instead of a hard end date, it would be kind of as we become aware of these things. That make sense?
Yes.
Good. Consensus on that. I had a couple quick questions. Could you put the discussion for the bus tour on to the next agenda item? Only, not that we're going to be doing it that early, but I think we need to probably start talking about it so that we can get it done before the sun sets at 6 o'clock at night. And
Yes.
my
We were
class.
very rushed last year to get through the route, and there was not a lot of time to stop and view. It was kind of rushed through the route. And
Yeah, no, it was a great
quick, yeah.
tour, but I mean, I think we kind of decided at the end that it'd be nicer if we did it more in the summer months to take advantage of the weather. And then also, I had a quick question on the strategic plan, economic development strategic plan that's going to be developed in the future. Is that going to be internally produced, or are you looking at hiring?
So we will work with a consultant to help lead us through that. As far as selection, we do have, we use Baker Tilly for our financial consulting. They do produce that type of plan work. They will work with us as an option. There are other consultants that will also help facilitate and help us put together a plan. So from a, it will be consultant facilitated, and those parameters have not been solidified yet as far as what we'll talk about, but we'll have some help with that.
Any other questions concerning the work plan for the upcoming year? Faisal?
Yes, I have one question about, can you talk about a little bit about special programs? What is that, yeah?
So special programs, we don't really know what those might be. In the past, it's been, or special projects has been, the Economic Development Commission was engaged with short-term rental discussion. So our staff came to the commission and asked for feedback on, or displayed what other cities do, how they handle short-term rental, if they require a license, if they don't. Also, if what type of parameters they have. And the commission also, at that time, wanted to explore other housing options like hotels, and then the conversation led into, do we want a visitors and convention bureau? Like, what would that look like? Do we have enough housing, or not housing, but hotel stays to warrant something like a visitors and convention bureau? And it was, no, we don't. But the commission as a whole provided a recommendation that they did want a short-term rental program, and that they did want some licensing parameters in place, just to help protect the city of any like loud parties and noise, and to help kind of protect neighborhoods. So that was a special project. There may be other things that come before the commission. I don't know what those are yet. Usually it's at the direction of the city council or on a work plan that has been on a work plan for some time. So I guess more will come.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just a comment on the timing on the legislative platform. I know that Scale works with, and the cities all work with county on a common, but there are some individual items that each of the cities try to keep on top of. And so it'd be interesting to see, I think Scale adopts theirs in January or December. It'd be interesting for us to see what those topics are, perhaps in the fall, and see whether we have any others or any comment and advice on some of those items as they're prepared. And then I guess just kind of looking at, you have quarter two to kind of get some feedback. The session should be over in May. It probably won't be over in May, but there are some of us that watch what's going on at the legislature, and that might be a little late if there's something that needs to be, that is currently being discussed at the legislature. I know there was one that we ran into in the last year or two, and that was the way permanent residency is determined in a hotel property, and if you've lived there for more than 2 weeks, you're a permanent resident, and you're eligible for funding to find new accommodations if that property is sold. And we always had a comment that we thought that was a little short, and certainly had an impact on what our options were in redeveloping that property.
Thank you for the feedback.
Any other comments? Regina, anything else? Is that it on that?
No, I have adjust the timing for the legislative priorities. The bus tour, bring that as a item at the next meeting for discussion. Monitor what's going on in our neighboring activities. We want to know what's going on in Prior Lake, Shakopee especially, Burnsville, as there are direct neighbors. Discuss adding veterans as an item under expanding the BIPOC businesses to include veterans as well. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so. I'd have one other question. Mark, you brought it up about the veterans. Is that something the council would have to weigh in on?
The plan's already established for the READY plan, but it doesn't mean that whether it's as part of this conversation or as we're talking about ways to engage with other businesses, that we can't do that. I think it's something that I think it's a great idea. Veterans, women-owned businesses, perhaps, maybe something else to include. But.
There may be a contact at the Legion as well down the street who could help out with that. So, good, thank you.
Thank you.
I think you'll move to the other table now.
I will.
We'll have a musical interlude while you move over.
You need walk-up music, Regina.
I like it.
And we move into informational updates, and the first one is the Savage Chamber of Commerce update.
Yes. So not a whole lot of updates, other than Wake Up Savage is tomorrow. The Chamber hosts a coffee event every other month. And this month we're hosting here at City Hall. The feature will be the mayor, Meet the Mayor. So since we have a new mayor, a lot of people are excited and want to get to know her and what her, stance and view is on various subjects. So that will be in the morning from, I believe, 8 to 9. Yep, 8 to 9 here at City Hall. So be sure to attend if you're available. I will be there. And that's all I have currently for the Savage Chamber.
Is that in this room, do you know?
It will be in the Marion Room.
Everybody catch that? Be in the Marion Room?
Chair, I don't know
Yes.
at this point, but I did go to the opening of Rise, which is on.
So did I. I missed you. They said you.
I was there very early and got out of there very early, but I was impressed. It's a business that the investors come from Prior Lake. They're 25-year residents of Prior Lake, and that has been something that the county has been interested in getting local residents to invest in some of these businesses or bring more businesses. Instead of going downtown to work, bring your business out to Scott County. And that hasn't worked really all that well. But this was one case where they have made the investment in Savage, no less, and which was good. It is a business that has 3 or 4 other locations around or a business concept around the country. I think it started in Washington or Oregon. There's one in Florida and one more somewhere else.
The owner told me there's only 5 of them in the country right now, but they've got 20 of them teed up, ready to go in other places. So for those who didn't get a chance to get over there, I guess broadly I'd say it's a health and wellness business. They do a lot of cryogenic treatments on skin and
Infrared, salt therapy. I
and
attended
salt
as
air
well.
baths, infrared heating, things like that. So anything that's related to health and
It's right
wellness.
next to the Jersey Mike's and Chase Bank on Egan.
yeah, right there.
Jersey Mike's, even more. And there, actually, when I left there, there's kind of a wellness corridor being developed there because Kitty Corner, there's another wellness business across the road to the east of Holiday, and there's what's it called? Stretchley in
Stretchley,
over by Caribou, and so maybe we're developing a wellness corridor.
There you
Pick
go.
up on the
it, Brad.
theme.
I like
But that's about the only open space around Target at this point. And that's taken a while to get that space filled. So that's great.
Yeah, I think that whole building has turned over, hasn't it?
It is, yeah.
Can't even, it was an auto parts store or something originally? They had the whole thing, right?
They used to.
Yeah,
Yes,
and then
that's
now it's
right.
been divided into 3 spots. You've got the bank and the
Yep.
Jersey Mike's and now Rise.
That was
in the
good.
middle.
Nice people, local people know the area.
Yeah.
And they did a nice job with their opening. They were almost ready to have a grand opening.
Yeah, they were, well, it was interesting because when I got there, all the treatment rooms were being used. I mean, they already had appointments, and so their grand opening at the same time, they were servicing people, and so there was lots of people running back and forth. They were busy, very busy.
Done a number of those. You pick a date, and it could be the right date, and it probably isn't.
There you go. So, thank you, Jill. General updates, anything else?
Yes. So let's see here. There is a MnDOT open house on March 18th. That's a Tuesday from 4:30 to 6:30. Presentation at 5 p.m. here at the Savage Library. That's to talk about the Highway 13 improvements. Further updates on that.
Could you repeat the date once again?
Yes, March 18th. That's a Tuesday from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. Presentation at 5. A new business to town that we learned about, Story Arc Comics and Collectibles. They are set to open tentatively March 1st. That's located just behind McHugh's in the shopping center behind that. Harbor Suites was recommended for approval by Planning Commission. This is for an 18-unit memory care assisted living at County Road 27 and 154th. We expect that to be in front of City Council in March for final approvals or decision on that.
Just as a comment on that, that's on the piece of land that this committee had reviewed before for a number of issues the council had asked our opinion on. So it's kind of morphed into what it has become now.
And I'm sorry, which property is that?
So this is at County Road 27 and 154th. This is land that was at one time right-of-way. The city acquired it, sold it to a developer. There have been multiple renditions, some that have made it to an application stage, some that were just in concept. The concepts that I am aware of, at one point, it was a gas station concept. Then when I first started here in Savage in late 2023, there was a drive-through coffee shop with retail strip center. That went to Planning Commission, got tabled, and then they withdrew that application and applied for a one-level assisted living facility. So that is making its way through. It will be at the council level for potential adoption at a March meeting.
You said that was 18 units.
18 units. Gallery Savage apartment building that's proposed off of 154th. That was approved by council. Residents should expect grading soon for that site. So there will be a lot of activity happening out that way, just more of an FYI. The library mural, for those, I believe, Emily touched on this at the last meeting when she gave her update on the community survey. There is a mural that's proposed on the library. The funds to pay for that come out of our liquor store funds. There is a artist team that was selected. It will be a mosaic. What that will look like at this point, we're not sure. We've seen concepts of the artist's style, but they're looking for community input. And so the first community input workshop will be February 22nd from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Here at the library. So kids, adults are all encouraged to participate and engage with that. If you're unable to make it, on Let's Talk Savage, you could provide input as well through words or through visual examples. So if you like something out in the community, or if you've seen a mural or an art piece that you just have that speaks to you and you want to share and you think would be a great example of a theme that could be incorporated, share that on Let's Talk Savage.
So, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So who actually approves the content of that mural?
So there is a selection committee that was community members as well as staff members. So I'm part of that. Ultimately, it'll be back before us. I can't remember if it will go back to any commissions or council for final approval or not. I'd have to follow up on that.
And with all due respect to Dan Patch, he's certainly part of the history of the city and should continue to be part. He's a big part of the library with the museum there. It would be nice if he's not the only thing on them.
I'll pass along that feedback. Fred says. I'm just kidding.
Seconded.
Fred and Mark's attempt to not have to go on to Let's Talk Savage. So.
And that's all I have.
Okay. One thing I'd bring up is if you noticed, and it was in the newspaper, the Minneapolis paper, maybe a couple of weeks ago or less, the Met Council came out with its new population estimates going out to 2050 and showed where some of the population is going to be moving. Typically, what I was saying is that the larger suburbs will get larger. They have us topping out at about 37,000 in the year 2050. So I think that reemphasizes some of the discussion we've had here that we're going to be in redevelopment mode. We're not in high growth mode. We've got most of we'll add some more residential, whether it be single family or higher density, but we aren't going to get a whole lot bigger than we are now. So they say you play the hand that's dealt to you. So that's what we're going to do. So.
Mr. Chair, there's also an initiative at the legislature that the cities, I think Scale is also involved in, to allow cities to publish property information, tax forfeiture, those types of things that used to go to the Savage Pacer, or to the local papers, of which there are none left. So now they're going to Minneapolis paper, which is very expensive.
Correct.
I don't know whether the legislature will agree to allow the cities to publish that information, but I do want to commend the city of Savage on the work they're doing with their websites and with their communications to try and pick up some of that loss of not having a local newspaper. But I do think we need to keep an eye on potential investors not having a source other than coming to your office and taking your time to figure out what's going on in the city. So I know that's an ongoing topic. There has been some discussion about, there is apparently a journalism course at the Prior Lake Savage School, and there has been some discussion about having those students produce an area newspaper. It wouldn't be a complete newspaper, but certainly where there's topics like elections that they could cover and actually publish online, probably. But but I do think it's a hole in the community, and I again congratulate the city in trying to fill that hole. But I think from the business point of view, I'm not sure we've done that. So maybe there's some needs to be some focus on how our businesses. And I assume it's through some of the regional organizations, and I'm going to forget their names.
Like Finance and Commerce or the Business Journal?
Well, yes, certainly Finance and Commerce would be one publication, but there's a couple of organizations that Scale belongs to that where they can see people who are looking for development opportunities. But Finance and Commerce, you're right, is certainly a good source of what's going on all around the metro
Like site
area.
selectors type of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I've watched that for years well, actually over 40 years. This discussion's been ongoing in cities, publishing these things, and the cost of it is, depending on the size of the newspaper, is extremely expensive. People have gone to the legislature for years trying to get that law changed, and the lobby to keep it that way has been fairly strong. Even with all the leaps we've made in technology, we still, that law remains in effect, which I think has a lot of people scratching their heads, and the cost of it is amazing. So,
Yep.
Point well made.
Thank you.
Anything else, Regina?
I don't have anything else.
Very good. Any other comments, questions by anybody on the table? Yes.
Seeing as how we have a few minutes left before our adjourn time, should we do an introduction or get an introduction from our new members?
Well, I was going to ask if they'd like to make a little speech, so that'd be fine. Yeah. I think we do have time. Ladies
20
first.
minutes?
Yeah. You only get 10, Faiza gets the other 10, so.
I'll make it quick. Nice to meet all of you. I'm happy to be here. So I have been in Savage for about 5 years. I guess 5.5 at this point. Married to my husband, Andrew. We have 2 small kids and then 1 on the way. So I was talking to Regina in my orientation, like, hey, what happens if we need to be gone for a meeting? So that baby will come in August. For my day job, I'm in the wealth management space, so financial advisor with Edward Jones. But prior to that, was a lobbyist at the state capitol and lobbied on behalf of local units of government. So it's kind of a fun intersection of where I'm at now, business, people, community, and then kind of what I used to do in the public policy space. So just excited to be here and learn and, just give input and things like that along the way. So thank you.
What is your name, please?
Oh, Angie.
Thank you.
Good. Faisal.
Hi, my name is Faisal Suleiman. I've been living here in Savage for a while. Most of my time I've been working in the community and social services, actually for many years. I ran for city council last election, and my background is social services and community services, and my education is about political science and international studies with the emphasis of diplomacy, with a lot of courses of public services. So I'm in that area, and I would like to continue serving the community through other means. So for me, it's a continuation of community service by other means at this level, and I'm happy to be here and do that. I'm also a member of another council of the county, similar commission or council. So I think that's it.
Good, thank you. Again, welcome to both of you. Glad to have you here. Good. Anything else? I think
I don't have anything.
covered it
else
all,
from
and
staff.
as Mark noted, we're way ahead of schedules.
Nice job.
God, run these things efficiently, so. I hear a motion to
Move to adjourn?
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you much.